What's going on, y'all? It's the Raw Prospect Podcast. We're back for another one. We're gonna be doing college basketball talk, NFL, and some NBA at the end.
That's right.
So, and of course, we've got Mason Vore on the show.
Hello. I'm just kind of showing up. They invited me on.
Yeah.
I said yes.
And if you notice, a little different today. We're all at one location today. We all at Michael's house. So we're going to see how this goes. Give us the feedback. If you like this better, we'll keep doing it. And with that, we'll just get right into it.
Of course. Mason, you want to start us off with a...
Okay, so I think we wanted to start off with college basketball.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So before we get into, I think we can all go around. Michael and I think are going to talk about our top 10s. Not too much, but just get some overviews of what we think. But before we get into that, I think we all agree that Duke is the heavy favorite to win everything, all of it, everything this whole year.
Yeah.
I think that. Sorry, Ween, but I think they're going to beat Virginia in the ACC. I think they're going to be the number one. They should be the number one overall team. I don't know why they're getting disrespected. Well, Kentucky is 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they put Kentucky over Duke to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they're going to easily capture their 3rd championship in the decade. Moving on, I was looking up that stat about Duke winning their 3rd championship in the 2010s as this decade comes to a close, and I was thinking, how good has Jay Wright been for Villanova? I think I'll get to this with another team, but Villanova does not have a right to be good. Their placement, they're Philadelphia, so they're near talent, but they shouldn't be good. But Jay Wright has made them. I compare him to like Bill Snyder, a team that should not have been good. It shouldn't have been a program that should not have had the talent or success they have, and he's taking programs that had no right to be good or successful and turning them into a perennial powerhouse. They've won I think they've won two championships this year. That obviously, or not
the past.
Couple years.
2 in the past 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'd argue that Jay Wright's better, maybe even better than the Purple Wizard for K-State because he isn't falling off, as we all kind of know, mainly because of his age. Bill Snyder's kind of fallen off, and K-State's not where they've been. But Jay Wright's maybe getting better with age, and they've been better as he's kind of been able to build this kind of powerhouse. In the past couple of years, they do it with that formula similar to Gonzaga of they know when to get those 5 stars, but they also know when to get those top 100, but not necessarily
the
top
right
50 guys that'll stay 3 or 4 years, like DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges, Archie Diacono. They got Phil Booth. I'm gonna talk about him later on my top 10, but I really think he's solid.
Like Jalen Brunson.
Brunson. Yeah. And then before we get into the actual top 10, I just wanted to bring up. I was looking at some recruiting lists, and I was thinking, why is Western Kentucky they've landed top 20 recruits in the past 2 years. They landed. We all know what happened to Mitchell Robinson last year. Mm-hmm. There were some eligibility issues, and even though the NCAA caught and knew of the cheating and kind of money that was being played around there, they haven't done anything. Western Kentucky, they haven't punished them. They haven't done anything. So what did they do this year? They get another top 10 recruit in Charles Bassey, and this dude, he's a 5-star. He's he's a mutual. He's out of Louisville, so they do have that proximity. But this guy's the number 6 player in the nation, going to Western Kentucky. I don't know if they're cheating again or somehow this dude just grew up a Hilltopper fan or what. But I don't know. I just think it's odd. I don't know. Would you guys have any thoughts on the rise or lack of rise for Western Kentucky? It's just a weird amount.
I find it a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's something fishy there. For sure.
Yeah, I think. Well, that's just more into the NCAA just not wanting to prosecute or actually investigate teams, or they have investigated. They just don't do anything with those results. Like North Carolina with those classes where they found out that there were fake classes and tutors were doing the homework. It was a big story on SportsCenter for like 2 weeks. But did they do anything? No. Even with Baylor, they've done that Title IX investigation for 2 years now. Mm-hmm. Have they brought down the death penalty? Have they done anything? No. So I don't know. I think that's more of the NCAA just being an inept organization. But move on from that. Michael, you got something to say?
No.
No,
Keep going.
fine.
I want to hear your top 10.
Okay,
Yeah.
so our top 10, or my top 10, we can go over Michael soon. I got Duke number 1. Self-explanatory. Coach K, you got RJ Barrett, you got Cam Reddish, and you got Zion Williamson. I mean, Zion Williamson is going to be the most electrifying player in college basketball. When we go over our Wooden Award player that we're all going to, or I think we're all going to try and outline, the only outline for that is no one from Duke, because they're one of those three will probably win. And we all know, everyone knows RJ Barrett, number 1 recruit in the 2018 class, and Zion Williamson. But I think a lot of people are sleeping on Cam Reddish because he was the number 5 player in the country.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't be slept on. He's the number 5 player in the country, but he's still getting slept on. And
Yeah.
he's going to turn into a more solid player. I was talking to Emmy about this earlier, but he's almost like the Klay Thompson of Duke. It's been one game. So
Yeah.
does anyone really know how the season's going to go now? But I see him developing into not necessarily his position of Klay Thompson, but just the guy who goes unnoticed
Yeah.
but is still consistently good. I think a lot of people have concerns about Zion and how he's going to transition to the NBA and what position he'll play. But I think he's an absolute nightmare for defenses at college. And since we're going over college right now, we're not going over draft prospects. So at the college level, I just think he's just an absolute
Right
nightmare.
now, if he were to enter the NBA, he'd be the second heaviest player in the league behind Boba and Marjanovic.
He's
28 pounds
physically
heavier than LeBron James.
Mhm.
And he has a 45-inch vertical.
Wow.
He kills
If
Kentucky.
anything, that's concerning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Injuries. That's
Exactly.
how
We
injuries
Yeah,
talked
happen.
about concerns with his weight. That's the only thing. But
But that's transition to
I see.
NBA. That's in the future.
Yeah.
I think back to just his college performance. In his first game, he killed Kentucky. Kentucky did not have a right to be in that gym. I think everybody's seen the stat now of their 4 freshman players outscored Kentucky's whole team. Their whole team. 89-84, I believe. So I think no one wanted a piece of him. And then if they did, they didn't last longer than 3 minutes, or they were getting dunked on. So I don't know. That was a lot to cover Duke, but we'll move on. And the next team I have, number 2, is Gonzaga. I think a similar story to Villanova, but Villanova lost so many players last year. I think Gonzaga brought some guys back. I'll get excited about this dude later, but Rui Hachimura, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's a stud. He had 33 points in their first game. Obviously, it was like Eastern Dakota or someone like that, but it was 33 points in the first game. It's Mark Few. I mean, it's something about Spokane, up in the water over there. Washington, Oregon? I think it's Washington, around Seattle. But they got Brandon Clark. Everyone forgets about Killian Tilly. Killian Tilly was getting on a lot of those Naismith lists last year. I think he played great. I think he had some struggles toward the middle of the year, but earned some injuries, if I'm not mistaken. But he's a stud. I really like him. And they got that dude that was on all those overtime videos and the House of Highlights, the white dude, Mac McClung.
Yeah.
He was doing all those dunks, and he showed out in the first game. They have an easy schedule. What are they? Big Sky? Or Big E?
Big East.
Big East? They're in the Big East?
Gonzaga?
Yeah.
Nah.
I think
They're in the Mountain West.
West Coast. West Coast. Because they're
That's
West Coast.
easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
like
I mean,
that.
not a lot of competition, but when they do play against good teams or mid-major teams, they perform. Obviously, they're a tournament success, and they beat UT last year. I remember watching that game, and as we all know, they've gotten pretty far in most of the tournaments that they're rated highly in. On number 3, I got Kansas. I just feel like I have to. They never win everything, but they always have the hype, and they always play good in the regular season. They may not go all the way or even get to the Sweet 16, but they're always good. They're always good in the regular season, and death taxes and them winning the Big 12. Kansas winning the Big 12 in basketball.
Yeah.
And there's been better years for them to be usurped, and I don't think their streak's going to end this year. They got that point guard, that 5-star point guard out of Texas, Quentin Grimes. He's a stud. I really liked him. Texas was in on him, but obviously, Kentucky stole him away, Bill Self. I look at Quentin Grimes and I think of a more aggressive Frank Mason, because Frank Mason, he did take over games, but it's like when he only did it when he needed, or Bill Self called on him to do it.
Yeah, he was more in that senior leadership role, but he wasn't in that role of main scorer.
Yeah, for sure.
He did it when he had to, when the other guys were struggling.
And you still got Udoka Azubuike. So as long as him and Konate make up two of the best, power forward center guys and the 4 or 5 guys in the game. Some of the best that have been here for more than a year, I think. So I mean, the Big 12 is going to be good again. I think. I don't know if Michael, you were going to bring this up, but I like Dedrick Lawson. He's the transfer for Kansas, and they're going to do really good. I think they may not, like I said, they're not going to have the capability to reach the Final Four or even Elite Eight, but they'll probably get another Big 12 title. They're always good for that. My next team is Tennessee. I hate to admit it because Rick Barnes, he got away from UT. Well, we kind of fired him. I don't know. It's a weird situation, and then he's ended up in a great situation in Tennessee. Will they go to Elite Eight last year, or
Who?
Tennessee?
I think Elite Eight.
They're very good. And then I really like Admiral Schofield. He's like a senior enforcer kind of guard for me. He knows what he's doing. Rick Barnes already told him he's going to be the kind of the vocal leader of the team, and I really like Jordan Bone too. And I think we'll cover this more, but the SEC's not going to be as good as it has been the past 2 years. I think A&M and Kentucky have been rated higher than they really should be. So it's going to be an off year. I think Tennessee is going to win this division or this conference. I'll move a little quicker. At 5, I got Virginia. You got Bennett. You got Kyle Guy. You got Ty Jerome. You got DeAndre Hunter. ACC, I think there's a big question mark. They have a lot of expectations, but a lot of kind of unknowns except for Virginia. A lot of unknowns on the team of Clemson. I don't know. I think there's a couple questions there. At 6, I got Nevada. You got the Martin Bros. You got Eric Musselman. You have an easy schedule, and I think I read an article that was like they have a possibility to go undefeated in the regular season because how easy their schedule is combined with the talent that they have. So I think their defense is stifling. They run that weird. It's kind of like havoc defense, but it's not. I mean, otherwise known as they press. But I don't know. I really like that. They got to the Elite Eight last year. They lost to Loyola, Kentucky, or Loyola in Chicago.
Yeah. Sweet 16.
Yeah, that's probably it. Villanova. You got Jay Wright. I got them at 7. They got Joe Cremo, the transfer, I believe from St. John's. I really like Phil Booth, this senior point guard now. He shot 44% from the field last year, which is very good for college. He averaged 10 points last year, and he had 27 steals last year. So he's a threat. He's a defensive and offensive threat. He's a two-way player. And I think with all those first-round picks leaving, who do you have? Amari Spellman, DiVincenzo, Mikal Bridges.
Of course, Brunson wasn't a first.
Yeah.
He was second round.
Yeah, he was a stud. Early second round. I think he's going to have a lot more playing time this year, and I think he's going to have the opportunity to obviously lead the Wildcats in the Big East. I don't know if they'll replicate their title, but,
with their style of play, it leads to
consistent.
success. Yeah.
I got 8. I got Kentucky. Some people say this is not where they should be. They should be higher, but that's because they look at Kentucky and think it's Kentucky. But this year, I think it's kind of different. Calipari, I think he's getting tired of doing the same one and done thing every single year. And this year, I mean, their freshman class is outlined by I think P.J. Washington. You got Keldon Johnson, and I think I saw it was like Nick Richards played really good. He had 19 rebounds, but he had 8 points. I just don't know where the points are going to come from until Keldon Johnson and P.J. Washington really develop and they show that they're consistent. I mean, they're freshmen, so they're going to be shaky now, but I think they can improve on their consistency. And there's huge question marks there until I see them produce. I'm not going to put Kentucky anywhere near my top 5. I think they should be dropping out. They were playing Southern Illinois. They were down or within 2 points for like 70% of the game. So I don't know. I'm not really optimistic on them. I'll just close it up with number 9 so we can get going because it's been a long time. But I got North Carolina, who I think should move up. I think if I redid this list today, I would have North Carolina moving up to 7, 6, 5, maybe even 4, because I really like the combination of Luke May and Nasir Little, 2 studs.
Yeah.
I think Roy Williams, obviously good. I mean, everyone knows the Blue Bloods are going to get in top 10 every single year for college basketball just because of the way the recruiting landscape is kind of made. But I really like Nasir Little and Luke May. I like Luke May's two-way playing ability, and I like his tendency to. I think this year, I think he can take the next step and actually start controlling games and being the playmaker in the sense of the word that many people think he should be. So that's what I got.
Okay. I agree with most of what you said. As far as Duke goes, it hurts me to do it, but I have to put them at number one, especially after what they did on Tuesday. They had 100 points at the 7:38 mark to play in the second half with 7 minutes, 30 seconds to go. You talked about it. RJ Barrett, 33. Zion Williamson, 28. But that's not even the most impressive thing. He did it on 11 of 13 shooting.
Wow. Barrett?
Yes.
Wow.
No,
Williamson.
Oh, Williamson. Yeah.
and Reddish was 22. I mean, Reddish, you would think, on most teams would be the best player.
Yeah.
But on this team, he's the third best player. And he's going to get
That's
overlooked most nights because of what the other two guys do. They combined to score 83 points, which is actually 1 point fewer than Kentucky.
And you add in Tyus Jones.
But you add in Trey Jones and the guy off the bench who had a double-double.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just – it kind of reminds you of largest margin of victory in this event, the Champions Classic. They were the first team to eclipse 100 points. They did it with 7 minutes, 30 seconds, as I said. They finished with 118. The previous record was 94 points by Kansas in 2013. And they beat out that 2014 Kentucky team that was undefeated all the way until the Final Four.
Oh, Frank the Tank and Sam Decker. That was a great game.
For the largest margin of victory in the event when they beat Kansas by 32. So, in that year. They have to be number one. So much versatility. If you turn the ball over against Duke, you have no chance of winning. Yeah. And Duke had 26 fast break points against Kentucky.
And really, it's not even only turnover. It's really like long threes, and if you miss layups, also that they'll push it. And those three guys, probably their most underrated attribute is their high IQ.
And the amazing thing is all three of them might go 1, 2, 3 in the draft.
Yes, a bunch of mock drafts are seeing that.
Number 2, I would put Kansas there. I liked what they did against Michigan State.
Yeah,
they looked pretty good. The thing that concerns me with Kansas is their perimeter shooting. I don't think they're going to be as hot as they were against Michigan State every single game. I believe they were like 11 of 23 from three-point land, which is almost 50%. I'm not sure if they can do that every single game, especially against some of the better defenses. But I love Dedrick Lawson, the transfer from Memphis. And then I think Devon Dotson and the other guy.
You guys see, you were telling me this earlier, Amy, that Penny Hardaway got the job at Memphis where Dedrick Lawson has been. What do you think about that? Just a quick little review.
I think it's a good hire. Just for the city of Memphis, just in general. It's
just culture change.
They just needed that re-energizing of that program.
For sure. Sorry.
Yeah, Quentin Grimes and Devon Dotson in their backcourt, and then Udoka Azubuike, who can dominate inside and get on the boards, and then Dedrick Lawson's kind of the versatile guy, 19.2 points per game. They have a lot of talent. It's just, can their perimeter shooting be that good every single night? 3, I'd put Gonzaga. I don't know a lot about Gonzaga, but they have Mark Few, who's
premier coach.
Yeah, premier coach in college basketball. I'm hearing a lot about this Achimura guy, 6'8" junior, who averaged 11.6 points and 4 boards. I don't know a lot about him, but they're Gonzaga. They play an easy conference. They have a pretty easy schedule. They'll be right there in March. Number 4 is interesting because I don't think Kentucky should be anywhere near the top 5 after Tuesday.
I think we agree, yeah. They got embarrassed. Well, everybody would get embarrassed, but that was just in such a shocking fashion.
I'd
that-
probably put Tennessee there because I think
Well.
Virginia is where
That's
they
right.
should be at number 5. I really like Grant Williams. He's a dark horse to win
Yeah,
National Player of the
I
Year.
didn't talk about it.
15.2 points, and then Admiral Schofield, of course, 13.9 points per game. They give Rick Barnes a lot of talent, but their experience, and that's
For
the
sure.
thing. Experience eventually wins out in college basketball. We'll see if it does this year with Duke.
Good guard play and
But,
experience.
yes.
That's Tennessee.
And then I'm not going to let my bias kick in, but we have Virginia.
We've had the same top 5, so there's no.
Yeah,
There's no bias
Well, we
there.
switched Kansas and Gonzaga, but we've had the same team, so there's no.
there's
bias.
nothing
Yeah, no
about
bias on
Virginia
this
that makes
podcast.
you go wow, except for their defense. I believe Tuesday was the 13th time in the past 2 years they've held a team under 50. And they were the top defense in the nation last year at 54 points per game until
Remember, was it?
until UMBC finally broke that. But Ty Jerome, he can shoot from the outside. Kyle Guy can shoot from the outside. Hunter, I think, is the best player on the team.
I like DeAndre.
I really like him. His perimeter shooting is kind of but they have some guys off the bench. Diakite, Huff. The question's going to be, can they score in the tournament, and can they fill kind of the production of Devin Hall, who left and was drafted by the Thunder in the draft?
Mm-hmm.
Who's really the leader, and who's going to be that guy inside? Because if you look at it, Virginia hasn't had a dominant big man since a long time.
A big man, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the last big player that I remember was Brogdon.
Yeah.
I'm probably missing someone. Am I? But I think the last big player was Brogdon.
They've had some decent ones, but
Yeah.
none of them like.
Serviceable, but no one
Yeah.
that would take over a game.
And they have Tony Bennett.
Let me make sure the volume is high enough, just so that people can hear us.
I like Nevada. I kind of hesitate putting one at 6, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I did the same.
I assume they have an easier schedule than most other teams we're talking about, but I really like the Martin twins. They play positionless basketball. They have a lot of big guys, not super big, but
I
they
think
have a lot
last-
of the
sorry.
6'7",
Yeah,
6'8"
last year they had a
guys.
6-man rotation.
Yeah.
They beat 3 teams in the NBA tournament with
Mhm.
NCAA
Yeah.
tournament with a 16 lineup. That's insane.
And apparently they have a 5-star freshman, 6'11"
Yeah.
freshman, Jordan
I think he
Brown.
showed up. Jordan Brown.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah. I think he showed
highest
up.
signing in program history, and they're supposed to have the best team in their
KAUP. Shout out
history.
Nevada.
So I hesitate to put them at 6, but for now I will. 7, I'm putting Carolina.
I should have, yeah.
I think no one's giving them enough attention.
Yeah.
I think they have one of the most formidable front courts in the nation with Luke May, Cameron Johnson, and you add Nasir Little in there at small forward. My question with Carolina is, who fills the shoes of Joel Berry?
I think we're, yeah. 'Cause he was such
And-
a stud for 3
Yeah.
years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And,
3 or 4.
but the front court, you don't want to mess with that, because when they get on the boards and they start pushing the pace with their athleticism, you don't want to mess with that. I think they're going to be hanging around, and it's amazing that they'll probably be the 3rd best team in the ACC.
Yeah.
9 or 8, I'll put Villanova. It's Villanova. They have Jay Wright, one of the best coaches in college basketball. They lost 4 of their top 5 minutes leaders from last year, but they do have Eric Pascal still, and they have a freshman, Javon Kennerly, who I don't know a lot about, but he's supposed to be pretty good, and they have Jay Wright, so everything will be fine.
Phil Booth.
They don't play a super tough schedule. 9 and 10, there's a couple teams you could put there. I think a lot of people are overlooking Auburn.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, they were like 18 now.
They're a lot. Well, I don't know if I put them that high. I'd probably put Michigan State 9, maybe. I think they lost to Kansas, but they fought the whole game.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
they were
wasn't
down
like
by a
they-
lot.
Yeah.
But then they they cut it to 3 with like a minute left.
We got the
So
challenge. Nick
they
Ward, you
fought.
got Winston.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Cassius Winston. They're going to be right there.
and Izzo. So